Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Set the Pipe. Where are my other two, CK and Bear? Actually, I'm redoing the introduction. I was in Park City, Utah, where the internet was not very good when we did this podcast, and the audio was a little clippy. So I'm redoing the introductions for Jaidyn Blanchfield, kid that I saw about 15 years ago, meek, skinny, high flying, but she had potential, and she chose us to help me develop that potential. Raised in Boise, Idaho, she went the JC route in Idaho and then got picked up by UNI Panthers. After that, she spent a few years coaching in college and then went overseas to play professional. Great story. And CK and Bear both have some things in common with Jaidyn, which is going to be great for the podcast. So without further ado, we're going to start with Jaidyn talking about how it all started in Boise, Idaho. Thanks for watching Set the Pipe.
Let's start from the beginning. I was a basketball player first, and then I get to middle school, junior high, and one of my best friends at the time dragged me to volleyball tryouts. I didn't want to go. I was a basketball player. I was going to keep playing basketball. And I just fell in love with the sport and wanted to play year round, wanted to get into club and just see how far I could go. And volleyball's super addicting. I don't know what it is about it, but it's so addicting. I love all of its forms. I've played many different positions at a high level. And so I just became addicted to it really quick and just fell in love with, okay, let's see how far I can go. And then started getting D1 offers. And I was like, okay, I want to play pro. I don't know what that means. We don't have pro here. Kind of took a little detour. Not yet. Yeah. And started coaching college and realized I still had the itch to play. I got a new shoulder that was feeling really good. And that's the shortened version of the story. But yeah, how I got started was not expected. I just got dragged to tryouts by my best friend.
I have a question for you because I grew up in Southern California. How is the Boise junior girls circuit? Is it very big out there? Is every high school, is it like it is in Southern California where everyone's playing it? And give me a little bit of that. I'd love to hear about that.
It's, at least when I played, it's very slow. The speed of the game was very slow. Not everybody played volleyball. So the level was super low and far behind Southern California or the Midwest, for example. Beach volleyball is non-existent here. That's another thing that got me to the level of what I needed to be to play D1, and where I got good my senior year was thanks to Sully dragging me out on the sand and then taking me to Southern California and playing beach. So that honestly helped tremendously, ball control, court awareness. Now it's getting a lot better. I've been home for a few months, which has been the longest time I've been home since high school. And the level is a lot better. I just scrimmaged against an A's team last week, actually. And I was kind of surprised at how fast the game has grown here. And Boise State has a beach team. College of Western Idaho has a beach team now. It's brand new this year. So it's growing. A lot of California people are moving here. So it's really sped up the game. There's a lot taller girls here now. When I was in high school, I was the tallest on my team at 5'10".
Yeah.
So kids are bigger. The speed is definitely faster. It's not as big as a community as I would like, just for opportunities to play and get touches, but it's definitely changed a lot.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, when I was there, Corey, it was grass. Everything was grass. And when I approached people to play beach, there was just no way, because you guys all know you don't have sand legs. It's a hard game, and you're not very good at it when you start.
No,
right?
So it's a different game.
It's a very different game. But how it can improve your indoor game is tremendous. And so
100%.
Now with Boise State taking on the beach, now everybody's our scholarships there. Oh, maybe we should be playing beach instead of sand. I mean, maybe we should be playing beach instead of grass, right? And grass is so big there, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so I did have to drag Jaidyn down, and we had somebody host her for a day.
Yeah, do you remember that Southern California trip at all, Jaidyn?
I remember it very clearly. That was some of the funnest times I had in my high school summers. So
nice. What did you guys do? You went to the beach. What else did you guys do? Do you remember?
My first year, we went to the beach every single day. Had some really good food. I think we toured a college. Did we tour
Yeah,
Golden West.
we went down there. We toured some kind of JC or university.
Yeah.
And got them on the beach because I just told them, I'm like, you have to experience this. This is a lifestyle that you guys don't know exists. And they, we took 6 or 7 girls down there, and it was just a great time. Went to the national team practices as well. So that was pretty awesome. I got to meet Matt Furbringer and Karch Karai and all those players.
Danielle Scott.
Yeah, Danielle Scott, Matt Anderson,
Courtney Thompson.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah, it was awesome. And Bear was kind enough to host us for a day, which was fantastic. So, yeah.
I'm trying to remember what year that was. I think it was maybe 2013 possibly?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was a long time ago.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
You mentioned earlier, Jaidyn, that you just fell in love with the sport and you just got hungry to get better and just to play. All of us were like that. When I first started to play, I fell in love with it. I was getting out at 11, 12 at night at the JC when I was 14, 15-year-old, just playing deep court with people till they made us get out. When you get a trip like that, being from Idaho and just starting to learn the game from a basketball player, and you go down to Southern California and you see it, see the beach, see the people training, how much hungrier did that make you and your teammates to want to come back and just get better and make the volleyball level in where you are in Boise just that much higher?
Oh my gosh. I was trying to get outside and play or just touch a ball every day I could. It was just so addicting. And back then I was a middle, so I was told by many coaches that middles don't pass. And I have a chip on my shoulder. I like to prove people wrong. So I was
just saying.
Was very determined, no, I'm going to learn how to pass.
You wound up actually, right? Pro level, you had to be a libero when you first came in there.
Yeah. I was a libero my second season right after COVID. For about 3 months, and then I went back to outside because one of our outsides ended up getting fired, so I switched right back. But being a libero was so fun. I think I got 28 digs in one of my games, and I get a set too, which Sully knows how much I want to be a setter back in the club days.
Come on, we love to set though. We think we can set.
Love to set.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying we do. We think we can set.
We love to set.
Yeah, when we were playing, the middle set a lot. Right. And now it's the libero that comes in the whole time. Middle does a little bit, and you got, back row, you set the pipe, right? Because that's what you always have to do is set the pipe. But you got so much to do that. But that's so awesome to hear how versatile you are. And that makes, I would assume why you've been so successful and continue to be successful is you're a student of the game of volleyball. You're not just a person that can hit or a person that can block. You can do everything. I mean, you played libero, you played outside, you played middle. You've coached in college, right? That's got to just be what an awesome feat for you to reach all of those, but to just keep you hungry and to help you understand the game when you're playing it must be great to have all of that. So kudos to you to be so well-rounded in the sport itself.
Yeah, thank you. Coaching helped a lot too. I realized really quick, oh, I know how to play middle, but I need to be able to teach how to tool the block, how to set, how to play defense in different areas of the court. So coaching also helped a ton.
Yeah, when she was being recruited, it was hard to explain what Jaidyn could do for a program because I would tell them she's the ultimate utility player. Oh, so she can play here and here. I'm like, no, she can play here, 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 and here. She's the ultimate utility player. And going through that college career, we had some deep conversations, Jaidyn and I did, and a lot of times she's like, I love my role. I left my role. I don't get to play all the time, but I love my role because I can go outside, I can go middle, I can go right side. I mean, and once she got even to a higher level, she played DS libero. She can. I mean, honestly, she was the ultimate utility player, and it's still paying off for her. So, hey, Bear, you went the JC route. And so that's some things you guys have in common. Could talk about that a little bit.
Well, I played at the JC level. You mentioned Golden West. You possibly went there, and I played there a couple of years. And I'm actually been coaching probably at the JC level now for about 20 years. And I'm just curious, how did that come about with you? Why did you want to go there, or did you not want to go there? Was it your first step for college, or tell us a little bit about your JC career?
So I had no idea about college volleyball. I'm going to be honest. I remember Sully asked me, okay, you want to play in college, which schools do you want to play at? And I did my research of the best school in the country at the time, and I said Penn State. And I just remember him laughing and be like, yeah, you're not going to Penn State.
Wow.
So, yeah,
you're a trainer right at that time. Reality is important. And, that little it's really important. So doesn't mean you can't play. And look at you now, you're a pro. I mean, so like, but the reality at that time is he was honest with you. So that's great to hear too. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No.
Fine.
So just to react, I mean, just the reality was, I think out of all the years I've been coaching club and I mean, just college and high school, whatever, I think I've only missed 1 to 2 kids of where they should have gone. Right. And one was here locally and I never even trained her and she had a successful D1 career. But I was always honest with my players and I think her parents really appreciated that, by the way. So yeah, the JC route I thought was the road to go because I knew, I mean, like her shoulders weren't even filled out by the time her senior year. I mean, she just had so much more growth and she can jump through the roof. And so I thought the JC route was the way to go. She was going to get exposure for sure because it was a good program. So yeah, Jaidyn.
Yeah, I was just super late to the recruiting process. I mean, by the time I got to Sully, I think I was a sophomore, and then I decided, okay, I want to play in college. Like, I was already a junior. It's pretty late. And so after that, I was like, okay, I'm a D2 kid then, I think. I'm not sure. And just wasn't really getting offers or looks, and got a really good offer from College of Southern Idaho on the spot. I went to their camp. It was right after that Southern California trip, actually. I was jumping out of the gym. I was hitting the ball so hard and got offered a scholarship right on the spot. And they had just won their 10th national championship. So I was like, okay, I'll come here, win a national championship, and then just transfer to D1. Because I had the grades. It wasn't about the school or anything to go the JC route. It was just, I'm a late bloomer and Idaho doesn't have like great volleyball for the exposure that I needed and development. So yeah, I went that route, went there for a semester, learned a lot. Wasn't the greatest experience, I would say, but I do think the junior college route is a good route to go, especially if you need to save on money, if you can't afford it or you can't get a scholarship. It's a great route. And there's actually really good schools out there that you can win a national championship or do really well and then transfer on. And now there's this new rule of that if you go the JC route, you get still your 4 years of eligibility.
It's not done deal yet.
Okay.
But they're talking about, they're actually probably going to vote on it. So these days I'd put it at least 50-50. If not, it's a for sure thing. I mean, the NCAA keeps losing everything in regards to the court battles with, from everything to transfer portals to NIL so I'd be real surprised if it doesn't pass. Imagine that. You'd have gotten 2 years or whatever it was, and 1 year, and then you get another 4. And they're also talking about making it 5, not just 4 for college.
I know. That's absolutely insane. Can you imagine like a 25-year-old playing an 18-year-old?
That is unbelievable.
It's happening right now in basketball. I had 2 sons that play basketball. One played college, but with the portal and with the COVID year, there's guys that are 25, 26 years old playing, like you said, against 17, 18-year-olds. It's wild. And at that level, as you know, from going from junior college to Division I volleyball to playing professionally, like there's different levels of this. And like, so when it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be part of one of our podcasts besides interviewing others. We're just going to do us 3, Jaidyn, and we're going to talk about these things in general. The more that information comes out, the more we're going to be on top of it. But let me tell you how she got to UNI. So, UMKC got in touch with me and said, "Hey, we're interested in this Jaidyn kid." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So we were at this tournament and got him introduced. We got him introduced because she was doing her parents thing, and I'm like, "You might want to look at her. She's this utility player. I think you guys are going to be impressed. She fits your program great." At the same time, Kalani Mahi from UNI was there, who's the recruiting coordinator. We're all friends, and he's been one of my best friends. And we're just talking, and all of a sudden, Kalani's like, "Oh, I got to go recruit. See you guys." He literally went to the other side of Jaidyn's court and just sat there, not knowing he was looking at Jaidyn, because that's exactly what the position they were looking for. So Kalani spot his eyes on her right away and took it from there, Jaidyn.
So the JC route, if I didn't commit to CSI, I don't think I would have played as well as I did the second half of club season, because I believe that was the Crossroads tournament and I had 3 D1 coaches looking at me, but I was able to play so free and relaxed because I had already committed and I was just playing the best volleyball I had ever played at that point. So that experience was really cool. I was like, wow, I am a D1 kid after being told by not solely somebody else, like, oh, you're not a D1 kid. So that was like also motivated me so much more, like, see how far I can go. Is there professional? Like, I want to see how high of a level I can actually play at. And yeah, I ended up taking my visit to UMKC and UNI with Coach Soley, and I loved both schools, but there was just something about UNI that really was just pulling me in that direction. I loved the community and the family feel of the program, especially with like Bobby Peterson, who had played there, GA'd there, and is coaching there. Like, she has kept so much tradition at that school and program, and these days, like, people are bouncing around all over, even more so, I feel like, with the portal and stuff. So it was really important for me to be a small fish in a big pond, because from being from Idaho, my senior year, I felt like the big fish in a small pond, and I didn't see much growth. And I wanted to be the worst player on the team because I know the type of player I am. I will rise to the occasion. I did have a shoulder injury in college that kind of limited how much growth I could have, but that taught me a lot too with those challenges there.
Hey, CK and Bear, I don't know if you guys know UNI's program, right? Because I was a volunteer assistant there for a year, but they pull in 4,000 to 6,000 people a match. I don't know if you guys knew that. Yeah,
yes, I do. A good friend of mine, Barb Randall, actually coached there as well a long time ago. So she played on the national team and I was there, and we've been friends for a long time. And so, I've been following their program for a long time. And question for you, Jaidyn, how was it to watch that match, at the level it was, and then to just have your heart ripped out right at the end when they were about to ruin it for the NCAA with Louisville, playing at Louisville, being at Louisville, and it was such a great match. What did you think being an alumni of there?
So this is my first time watching the tournament in about 5 years, because I've been overseas, and with the time difference, VPN, ESPN, all that stuff, it was really hard to watch. So I just would watch the highlights on social media. I was super impressed by the level of the tournament this year.
So was I.
I think because of all those 5-year COVID players, it really increased the level a lot. I actually recorded my reaction to watching that game, and I was so pumped for them the whole entire time. And the fifth set, it took me back to my senior year against Creighton, and we go to the fifth set in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and our best passer got aced twice in a row, and then we just lost. We were up the whole entire time in the fifth set. I remember shaking Creighton's hands, and all the girls' looks like on their faces were like, holy crap, we just won that. Like, we shouldn't have won that. And I feel like that was the same feeling that Louisville had probably.
For sure.
My gosh, it was so heartbreaking. I felt so bad for them, but they played really well.
It's sport. That's what we've been talking about for the last few episodes. That's what makes it so great. I mean, losing hurts, and especially with listening to your story, how much you love to compete and get better, and you're a sponge of the game. And losing sucks, but learning, you learn from it, right? But it's tough to watch things like that when a school like UNI is playing Louisville in such a big match on such a big stage, and you're just like, you're pulling for them, right? And I'm like I said, you went there, and just to see them lose like that, it's heartbreaking. But you went there, you coached there. I have no doubt that she will continue to build and keep that program right where it's at, because they've been great for a long time.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is where both you guys, Bear and Corey, really can relate to Jaidyn. I never went overseas to play indoors, and both of you did. And Jaidyn, actually, each one of them played in the same country that you have been, ironically enough. Yeah. So Beth in France, right? That's and Corey was in Finland.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bonsoir. Yeah.
I still count and finish sometimes, and my family can't stand it when I'm like, Uxie, Coxie, Coleman. They're just like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I had I had to say it across the net.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, right?
Like, you just brought back Finnish words to my head.
Yes. So it's funny, like you're trying to say across the net, whatever it was. So I still count occasionally. So tell us about your experience. I mean, you played in a bunch of different countries. How was it for you? I mean, I'm sure there's ups and downs, but I would love to hear.
So my road was a different path than most. I went and coached Division III for 3 seasons while also getting my master's. And I didn't have an agent. I had to do it by myself. A lot of networking. I coach Go Mel Squared camps in the summer. So I had built a network with other pro players that were other like lead coaches for the camp. That's where I made a lot of my connections. And then I'd play USAV nationals and made a lot of connections with players that played pro when there was still an open division that doesn't exist anymore. And then after I was done coaching at UMass Boston, I get a call from a friend saying, "Hey, are you still trying to play overseas?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she said, "Good, because both of our outsides just went down in the same match and we need an outside." Wow. So she sent my information to her coach. I do a video call with him, and 3 days later, I'm flying to Finland.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
What big city was near the city you were in? Did you get to go to like
Jyväskylä?
Yes, Jyväskylä.
Yes, yeah. I was in Pitapudas, which is a very small village right in the center of Finland. So we're about 5 hours north of Helsinki, but also 5 hours south of Rovaniemi, which is in the Arctic Circle of Finland.
I played in Raisio. I don't know if you went all the way over there. So it was near Turku, which is a decent big city as well. So I got to go all over the country. It was so fun. I went over for the summer, so I played a little extra in the summer. So I was there like 8 or 9 months. We finished third, but it was a great experience, and I loved it. What did you like the food?
I actually did like the food a lot. It was really good, mostly like meat and potatoes, but then also like really good soups. I don't know how to explain it. Reindeer, so good. Loved the food there.
It's a really cold reindeer.
You got to try it when you're out there. The other thing that was so crazy about Finland, and I'm sure it's still the same, was there's a sauna everywhere, right?
Yes.
There's a sauna in the bars. There's sauna in like the restaurants. Like everyone just goes in the sauna. It is unbelievable. And
then there's holes in the ice. So you go to sauna and then you go cold plunge and then you go sauna and then you go cold plunge.
Sending me pictures. That's right. That was in Finland.
Yeah, it was an experience to say the least, for sure.
Absolutely.
So how long were you in Finland for?
I played there for 2 seasons, but technically total time, because I got there January 2020, and then I was there for about 2.5 months, and then COVID hit. I was actually supposed to debut my libero career in the playoffs, and then our game got canceled. So then got sent home, re-signed with that club as a libero, because I still had no agent, and this was my foot in the door and I needed to stick with it. So I returned in September. Hard for us to get our visas. They're just super strict with letting people into the country with COVID. Right. And then I was there from September to March. And then I signed a contract to go to Switzerland the next year. And I've transitioned fully back to an outside hitter at that point.
Nice.
And we're in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I was playing for the team Smash, which is in Asch near Basel. It's like 20 minutes from the Germany and French border. So it's very north Switzerland in the German-speaking part.
What did you think about Switzerland? When I was playing in France, I lived maybe an hour or two from the Swiss border in Geneva. And
I love Geneva.
So I got into Switzerland for a little bit, and I thought it was one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to, the Alps and everything, and how clean the country was and how the trains ran on time and all that stuff. What was your take on Switzerland?
It is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen. The pictures that you see of the lakes and the Swiss Alps, they really look like that. Like you assume like, oh, there's some editing there to make the water really that blue. No, it's really that blue. It's amazing. Their country is small that you can travel to all the different sections and you're almost in a different culture kind of, because you had the Italian part, the German part, and the French part. So I loved it. I loved my experience there. My team, we were top 2 of the league, so it was nice to like be on a winning team again. Because
get a
Finland,
bonus too. Get a bonus, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. So I was like the 3rd outside for that team. Learned a lot. I'd still like haven't fully grasped the game as an outside hitter, if that makes sense. I had the talent, just maybe not like the complete volleyball IQ of mostly like tooling the block and decision making as a hitter was what I was lacking in. And I felt I really grew that part of my game because I could just practice and not really have the pressure of games to perform. So yeah, Switzerland was great. We also got to participate in the Challenge Cup, which is part of the CEV, which is the organization of Europe, and there's 3 tier systems. There's Champions League, which is the top, CEV Cup, and Challenge Cup. And based on how your team does the year before, you get a bid almost to participate in that championship the next season. So we got to play in Challenge Cup and went to Romania. And actually, my middle blocker tears her ACL, and guess who had to play middle?
Miss Utility. Right. That's
so I had to play middle for about 4 games until our new middle could get into town and with her visa and the transfer and all this stuff. So I had to play middle again, which actually came back to me so fast. I was very nervous because I like to call myself a middle hitter. I'm not a middle blocker.
Me too.
So
you're right. Yeah. But you had the foundation for a very young age of how to play middle. I'm just gonna point that out to everybody out there. Anyway, continue that.
So yeah, played middle, and I shocked everybody on my team because usually you start with one position and you play that your whole entire career. And I feel like more so over in Europe, it's that way as well. You don't really, maybe you learn how to pass because middles will take a lot of the short balls, but for the most part, the position you are, those are the skills you do. They don't really make well-rounded players. Maybe some places, but just from my experience. And so I would go up and hit a slide or a 1 ball, and my setter would be like just so shocked. She was like, I didn't know you could do that. And I was like, yeah, I was a middle for almost 10 years. So yeah. And then I had to do the same thing again in Germany the next year, except for I was a 6 rotation middle, which I don't think Germany has seen since before the libero position was created.
So you got to play. You got to play all the way around, and they got to set you the pipe, right? Because that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it was wild. I was like, I mean, I did this in high school, but to do this at the professional level and for the Bundesliga, which is the highest league in Germany, it's a really big deal. I don't know. Germany's very proud of their, volleyball. So I was like, I'm a middle, but now I'm passing. Now I'm hitting a pipe, and now I'm back and blocking in the middle. Like, it was just wild, but my coach actually did a very good job at, now this is where I really developed the volleyball IQ, and the game felt so slow to me because everything was just so simplified with how he did his scouting report. And I'm a type A player, so I like everything to be out there and clear communication. Hey, we do this in this situation, that in that situation. And he made my life super easy as a middle. And so I felt like I was able to execute my job perfectly. I didn't get the points necessarily, but my setter, she was like, hey, Jay, have you seen the stats of the game? I said, yeah, I looked at them. Why? And she's like, did you see the blocks? And I was like, yeah, I got like 2 blocks. She's like, but did you see the blocks positive? And I was like, no. She's like, you had 15 positive touches. Guess how many our actual middle had? And I was like, how many? 5. So I was like, okay. So I did way better at the blocking part.
So the great crazy thing about her German experience is she was in Wiesbaden. Wiesbaden is where my dad and my mom met. My dad was in the Air Force. My mom was an Air Force brat. That's how they met. And I was like, oh my gosh, this whole world of volleyball, crazy for us.
It's a small world. Question for you to just tell the listeners the difference between training, and I know every country's different, but like college volleyball, like I said, my kids played college basketball. We all played college volleyball. We know kind of how we train here. How do you see it differently? Like, what did you do differently over there than you would do here at like you and I, for an example, and then go playing in Finland and Germany and Switzerland? Did they train more? Was it hours? Was it different style? Love to hear the differences.
I would say it became your job. We would train twice a day, and it would alternate mornings from individual practice or weights, or sometimes you would have weights and then go to individual practice right after. So for example, middles would have their practice, receivers, which is outsides and liberos, and then setters opposites will probably practice together. And mostly morning practices were absolutely no jumping at all. Thank you for that. And then we would go home, rest, eat your lunch, do whatever activities or errands you had to do. And then we'd have evening practice, varies from 2 to 3 hours depending on your coach or the time of season. So yeah, pretty much twice a day, every single day. And we'd play, if you're in the Challenge Cup matches or the Swiss Cup, Finnish Cup, German Cup, which is basically like a local championship, we would play on Wednesdays and then league games on Saturdays. So sometimes you'd have 2 games a week and then for sure 1 day off, which was always Sundays, which really sucks if you're an American and you're not used to living abroad because everything is closed on Sundays.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So if you need to get groceries, too bad. You're either going hungry or you're going out to eat that night. You have to get your groceries Monday through Saturday.
That's a lesson you got to learn, right? That's fun.
Yeah. So that's still something I have to remember even last year. Like, oh, what am I going to get groceries tomorrow? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, tomorrow's Sunday. I have to get my groceries tonight. So, yeah.
Well, Jaidyn, so give me your favorite time of the year.
Summer.
Give me your worst time of the year.
The depths of winter.
Winter. Fair enough. Hey, so I actually have a video clip of you which actually goes right into Set the Pipe. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at this real quick. She gets Set the Pipe. Not only she set the pipe, she gets a great dig and sets the pipe. So let's take a peek.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Scoop. Hammer. Just an absolute hammer.
That's my favorite swing. And I'm so hyped.
Fired up.
I was right down the pipe, baby.
There you go.
And that's like a front row attack on that pipe, too.
Sure did.
I love that. Jaidyn Blanchfield. Very clear. Anyway, that was very appropriate for this podcast of Set the Pipe for sure. And people, subscribe. We get players like Jaidyn Blanchfield on here that's gone prayer and her big story. That's a big deal for us. So again, we appreciate all the subscriptions out there.
So what? Oh, go ahead, Bear.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious. Like when you're overseas like that, are there other foreigners on your team, or are you the only foreigner? How does that work? Is there, because when I played, I think we could have 2 foreigners maybe, but what's the ruling on that?
So in Finland, there's no foreigner rule. So we had 5 foreigners on my team. In Switzerland, you have to have at least 2 Swiss players on the court at all times. But I believe half the team was foreigners. You just had to follow that rule on the court. And then Germany, there's no cap. So I've been super lucky that I've always had another American on the team, thankfully.
Oh, that's great.
But I've heard of other friends that have been the only American or the only English speaker, which that is tough. I've also been super thankful that all my coaches have spoken English. Majority of my teammates have spoken English.
Yeah, that helps.
So yeah,
I wanted to ask you about that too. How do you learn the language and all that stuff, or deal with not knowing the language and all that? So you could, like, your setter and stuff would know English or whatever, so you could talk with her about that sort of thing, or?
Yep. My English became very broken very quickly. But you would just say, hey, a little higher, off, let's make it faster. Or something I realized is coaches will say longer instead of like push it out, like, oh, make it longer. And I was like, what do you mean by longer? But he means like to the antenna or
to the pin, get it out further.
Yeah. So there's just like as soon as I get back to the States, all that goes away and out of my head. I still say setter. So I say my rotations backwards, technically. In America, we say rotation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like in the way that you rotate. Yeah. Overseas, we say setter and the position that she's in. So setter 1, setter 6, setter 5, setter 4, setter 3, setter 2. And so I find myself saying, oh, what rotation are we in? Oh, setter 2. But setter 2 is position 2, but that's actually, they're talking about rotation 2. So I have to flip it in my head every year. And that gets really confusing. But
1 and 4 are the same, right? Because the setters
1 and 4 are the same.
Yeah.
Yep. But 5, 3, 6, 5, 2, I get lost.
Are you pretty good with picking up the language, or do you just basically speak English as much as possible, or do you try to learn the language that country you're in?
Try to learn the language. It's fun. I wish I knew another language. It's just really hard to get into it when everybody around you can still speak English. And even when I go out in public, I got good at ordering a coffee in German, but outside of that, I really couldn't speak the language. And Germans kind of judge you if you don't know how to speak it correctly. I wasn't in France for too long, but I've heard the same about French. Like, if you're not like perfectly speaking it correctly, they kind of judge you a little bit. So that's intimidating. But I worked on Duolingo every single day with German, and I was doing French when I was in France. So I was really determined to learning the language, but it's hard when you're not fully immersed in it.
Yeah.
So
you go over to play volleyball in Europe, and that's your job, and that's what you're there for. And obviously, you're there to make money. You're there to go with your career. But while you're there, how is it outside of volleyball? You get to see different countries. You might get to travel. Like, was that a lifelong dream of yours, or was it to play volleyball and I got to go to these countries? How was that for you being in different places like that, besides the volleyball?
Definitely, this was a dream of, I want to play professional volleyball, and then I get to go to these countries. Again, I'm obsessed with the game, so I just wanted to play at the highest level I could. And then we didn't have much time off throughout the season, so I could only do my traveling during preseason when we would have weekends off. So I would take a train or a short flight somewhere, and then after season, because during season you get that one day off a week, and at least in Germany, the trains, there's a lot of strikes going on these last 2 years, or the trains were not running on time. So I was very scared to go on a little day trip somewhere and crap, what if I can't get back because the train workers decide to strike, and then I'm stuck there and I miss practice. And
that's funny you say that. I got stuck one time because of the train strike. I was in Switzerland. I was telling you about Switzerland, and we got to Geneva. And of course, the French train workers were on strike. The French strike on everything. And I ended up missing practice. I thought I was going to get fired for that, but I explained the situation. And there's a lot of strikes over there for sure.
That's another thing that's different about playing overseas is everything is on you. If you're late to practice, you just pay a fine. If you forget something, you just pay a fine. Whereas the American style of sports, if somebody's late, the whole team is running. Like, I still have trauma from that. Like, oh, I'm going to be late. I'm going to make the whole team run. And it's like, oh, wait, no, I'm fine. I'll just pay the €5 for the 5 minutes I was late. But like, I still, sometimes my heart will race because I just grew up in that culture of like, I don't want to make the team run. They're going to hate me.
That's why they do it, right? That's why coaches do it. Next question.
Yeah. Who's got it, Bear?
All right. Red or green sauce?
Red or green socks?
Sauce.
Ooh. Green sauce.
Green sauce. What about taco or burrito?
Burrito.
Okay. I love them both, but taco, I went with taco. So I have a question for you because it's near and dear to my heart in volleyball. Let's talk about grass volleyball. So not a lot of people think it's something that deserves the credit it deserves. I played in a ton of tournaments all my whole life and won a lot of tournaments too, but I loved it. And we were talking a little bit beforehand about you playing a lot on the grass. And as you said, growing up, Boise, that's where it was. Did you love playing on the grass? I mean, the beach is different, but tell me a little bit about your grass experience and your career on the grass.
So even though Sully said there was a lot of grass here, I actually didn't play too much grass. I think I played in maybe 2 tournaments, and I just thought it was like this thing we do because we can set up a net and it's summer and we just hit a ball around like it's indoor. Like, I never thought the grass world is what it is today. I didn't think that was a thing. I just thought, oh, it's summer, let's bring volleyball outside. So I actually didn't get introduced to the grass world until about 2018 when I was living out in Massachusetts coaching and getting my master's. And my very first tournament was actually the Pottstown Rumble in Pennsylvania. And from then on, I became addicted to the grass world. It's just like, volleyball people are such good people, but there's something different about the grass community. Like, it's a mix of a lot of indoor and beach players, but there's just something about it. Like, I see the same people at all the tournaments all over the country. We're so welcoming. We all understand the grind of trying to be a pro beach player or a pro indoor player in that lifestyle, or coaching. Like, and we just all get to come together, and it's just a great community. And so that's when I started playing grass. And I think it was 2020 was when I started to get like really big into it and traveling to like Wisconsin for the Wapaka boat ride and all these other smaller tournaments. And actually it was 2020 that I won the Dig, which was at the time the biggest tournament I've ever won in Connecticut. And then last year, I would say I started to like hit my peak or prime, you would say, of like, okay, I'm getting good. I'm pulling these partners that are better than me. So then I don't have to carry the team anymore and I can rise to the occasion. And I ended up playing with a friend. She was a libero over in Finland, and her partner bailed on her because she got injured. She didn't bail. She got injured. She texts me 2 weeks before. I'm in Boise. She's like, hey, you want to fly to Pottstown and play with me? First off, I'm 5'10", maybe 5'11", with the right pair of shoes.
Right.
And she's a libero, an actual libero height. So I'm going to have to full-time block. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go. I want to see all my New England friends. And it's just going to be a great time. We ended up upsetting a team that beat me the year before and go all the way to the semis in pouring down rain. And I'm full-time blocking. And I was just like, holy crap, I just did that as a full-time blocker with my partner who's never played doubles big court before in her life. And we just made it all the way to the semis. And it's funny, last year I said, every year at this tournament, I get better and better. Like the year before, I got 5th. The year before that, I made playoffs. The year before that, I made the play-in game. And so I was like, well, somebody said, well, now you just have to win it. And that's what I did this year. Went to Pottstown and won the largest doubles tournament in the country with the biggest prize purse. And we almost lost. The quarters, it was 103 degrees with 80% humidity. And it's side-out scoring, if you guys know that, or for the listeners that don't know. Side-out scoring, 1-15. We're neck and neck, and then we start falling behind. I just remember thinking, okay, conserve your energy. Just side out. Keep siding out. Serve tough. Keep siding out. Serve tough. And my partner, she's like, come on, Jay, I need your energy. Let's go. And I'm like, okay, bring the energy. We're down 10-14. And we come back and win 16-14 in the quarterfinals.
Excellent.
So, and then we ended up winning the whole thing. The semis and the finals were actually much easier. I don't know if it was the adrenaline of playing on center court or it was just the adrenaline of like, okay, we just almost lost. Like, let's get our crap together. And the semis and finals were much easier. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So when you said long court, so does that mean they still do the indoor size courts in grass, or are they going with the AVP short court?
No, the old beach court, right?
It depends which tournament you play, but most tournaments do the indoor size court.
Okay, cool.
And then some AVP grass events, because AVP bought AVP America. So if you play in an AVP grass event, it's small court.
Okay.
Like a beach court.
You said that, I'm like, wait a minute, really? So I remember on me, that's all I ever did was I never played in the short court. So yeah, so now you're talking to old school guys that did that for a long time. But
and we played side out scoring. That's what we did when we played in college. Every game was side out, except the 5th.
I used to hate side out scoring. It's kind of rubbing off on me because with rally scoring, an underdog can win, but on side out scoring, the true winner wins. So it's kind of rubbing off on me of like, okay, if we screw around too much, we can still lose. But as long as we keep siding out and serving tough, the true winner is gonna come out on top.
You should see our first podcast with Coley as the third host. We go into detail about some of the sets that we screwed in rally scoring and how long they were. And we talked about, Tim talked about what was it, 3 hours we've been playing. Corey was in the finals, and they were at 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it went 3 sets. I mean,
we got smashed point-wise to UCLA in the national championship, but it was like a 2 hour and 45-minute match. Took like 45, 50 minutes for game one to be over. We just kept siding out. But like you said, I do feel, I love rally scoring. I like why they did it. It's great. I do think it equalizes it a little bit more. Like the team that's much better is not always pulling away like you would in a regular game, like you said, because you can always score. You were down 14-11, I think you said, right? Or 14-10.
Yeah, 14-10.
And all you have to do is side out and chip away at scoring points. And if you just side out and you're comfortable with that, they can't beat you, right? They can't win. And so in the other way, it's crazy. So that's awesome. I love that. What I love so far about your story here, Jaidyn, is you played at Boise. You were a basketball player. Before I say this, is all the young girls out there, the boys that are looking at 12U, 13U, starting to play volleyball and are like, can I do this? What can I do? The answer is yes. Look at her. She was a basketball player. She becomes a volleyball player. She goes to the junior college. She goes to UNI and plays Division I. She's played over in Europe in 4 years. She's played grass. She's won big tournaments. She's continued to evolve, continuing to grow, continuing to be a sponge and wanting to be better. So I think it's just, I love your story. And what's really cool to me is you have no problem playing grass. You have no problem playing indoor. You have no problem playing libero. You don't have a problem playing middle. You do what your coaches need you to do, and you're doing what your heart wants to do, is just playing the game of volleyball that you love, no matter where it is. So again, I'm just so happy that you came on, and it's exciting to hear what's next for you. What is the next pro you look for you? Are you going back overseas, or?
There's a couple of leagues here in the States. I mean, is that kind of do you still want to go overseas, or would you rather play in the States? I mean, if there was an opportunity that came up, I mean, where's your head on that?
For a while now, I've had the goal of I'm going to keep playing until I can play in the States, and then I'll decide, okay, do I want to retire? How's the body feeling? Type of thing. Take it year by year. And now we have 4 leagues in the States, which is absolutely wild. I would never imagine we would have 4, because now this MV, Major League Volleyball, so MLV, just announced last week. So they're starting next year. And yeah, there's a ton of opportunities. So I don't think I'll have to go overseas anymore. I do kind of miss the lifestyle of Europe. But to be honest, being away for friends, family, holidays, weddings, funerals for 9 months was actually starting to weigh on me a lot. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully joining one of these leagues and, yeah, bringing pro volleyball to the U.S. and show them, like, hey, we've been playing just on the other side of the world, and there's more high-level volleyball outside of college other than the Olympics. So that's the goal.
We just had an interview with Matt Fobringer from the LOVB and the Madison head coach, and really good interview. And he was pumped about the pro leagues that are going on, definitely the 2 that are established right now. So all good opportunities. There's some great players in there. Tim, before Jaidyn came on, we talked about her the regimen of lifting and nutrition. Do you want to continue that conversation?
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious. What do you do? I mean, Coley touched upon it a little bit earlier, but what do you do to stay fit as a professional volleyball player? Is it all what the club tells you what to do, or do you do anything on the side? How do you stay fit to be at an elite level?
For sure, overseas, like pro overseas is way different from professional sports in the States. I don't know about how volleyball is taking part of it, but for sure it's all on your own. We have our coaches, they're doing training, and then we have a strength coach who will give you the workouts. But other than that, it's all on your own. You need to be taking care of your nutrition, and if you don't know what to eat, you need to be researching that. I had to bring a lot of my own recovery devices to Europe, which takes up a lot of space.
You just didn't go in the sauna and heal from that? Hey, go in the sauna. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So like sometimes depending on the team, they don't have budget to have like an athletic trainers don't exist in Europe. It's all PTs, or we call them physios, which are great, but they have the knowledge for recovery, not for maybe prevention a little bit. So that's something I've picked up on as like, okay, I need to really take care of my body. And when something's not feeling right, I need to go and fix it with my mobility or strength. And luckily, I studied kinesiology in undergrad, so I have some knowledge about the human body in sport, but that's been a while now. I haven't been continually studying that. So at the end of the day, I'm still just an athlete and I need some medical advice sometimes on what to do. Whereas overseas, a lot of my physio treatments just ended up being like a deep tissue massage. So we weren't really fixing the issue. We were just covering it up because who doesn't like a deep tissue massage?
Yeah, of course.
Like, it feels great in the moment, but it's not fixing
doing
the
anything.
problem.
Right.
Coley doesn't plunge. Just got a picture of him the other day.
And the cold plunge, yeah, I do that every day. But I'm a little older than you, so no, it's tough. Trying to stay with my longevity these days. But so I'm going to just piggyback off of Bear because I think it's an important. It's different today than it was even 20, 30 years ago. But being a pro athlete and wanting to continue to be a pro athlete, do you stray sometimes? Of course, you got to go get a burger. Maybe I'm in and out up there, but whatever the burger place is. But how do you continue to educate yourself on your body, not just the stretching, but the food? How much are you going to be in the weight room? What are you going to do cardiovascular wise? Do you educate yourself? Do you have someone that you talk to? And when you do, how do you implement that?
So this last year, actually, I learned that I am the type of athlete that needs to be moving weight. I need to be lifting weight in the weight room. I cannot go and do these maintenance type of workouts for 9-month season. I realized this last year when our strength coach I just call them maintenance workouts, like just to keep what you have, but you're slowly going to lose what you have over time unless you get that power and strength back by moving actual weight. So that's something I just learned. And that's how I jump high. Like, I am naturally a good jumper, but I don't have the biggest shoulders. And with how my body is, I need the muscle to be powerful and strong. So I love being in the weight room. It's actually one of my favorite places to be. And I have a strength coach here in the US who will send me workouts for the summer. And these last 2 summers, I have felt the strongest I have ever felt. So I love him for that. His name is Greg, but he has the handle, the Volleyball Strength Coach on Instagram. Super great resource because he was also a volleyball player and studied strength and conditioning, whereas most strength coaches work in football and basketball. So I like him a lot just because he's a volleyball player and he knows the exact movements that my body does and what I need. So that's great. This year I connected with a physical therapist here in the States who's really good about, hey, let's find the issue and fix it instead of covering it up. And she wants to work with me long term as she builds her small business clientele of working with professional athletes remotely. So I'm going to be working with her. I'm super excited about that going forward. So that just happened. Nutrition wise, I kind of just take what I learned from my sports nutrition classes in undergrad and grad school. But again, that's been a while. So I'll forget things and we'll have to Google stuff. I take a lot of protein powder, creatine, essential amino acids, and electrolytes are the main stuff that I take. But I'm also super picky about the supplements that I put in my body because it can be contaminated. It might not have what it says it has in there or not enough to do what it needs to do. So I make sure I do my research on that before I take anything. So yeah.
It's fantastic to hear all that because I think, again, this show, what we're doing is telling stories, bringing stories like yours to everyone, but we're also trying to touch the volleyball community. Like you talked about the grass, and it's not just a college athlete or a professional athlete or old athletes. It's the young athlete too. It's the young girl. It's the young boy. It's the young girl that's 9 years old that's playing pepper with her mom or dad outside and happens to see this and understands I can be that. I can eat healthy. I can work out, whatever that is. 9 years old, you're not going to be working out at the gym, but it's just so great and refreshing to hear your story and to hear that you care about that. I mean, you're a professional athlete, so most professional athletes should, but you seem like you really care about it. And that's something that's going to continue in your life, which is great to hear.
I mean, I'm not perfect by any means of nutrition. Like, I like to have a Coke here and there. Cutting back. I've switched to Poppy. It has way less sugar.
Okay.
So that's my like sweet treat is a Poppy here and there. I used to never warm up or stretch. And the older I got,
All of us.
it hit me at 28 years old of like, everything is catching up to me. I need to start warming up and stretching. I can't just jump on the court and do like a baby hop and swing without anything hurting. So, yeah.
That's what we used to do at the gold mine is we show up and you just throw the ball up and try to bounce it. And you're like,
yeah.
When you get a little older, you start to realize like, oh man. So I have a question for you. It's question time. What's your favorite genre of music and who's your favorite band?
Oh, I have a wide genre of music. I'll just tell you who I don't like. I don't really like Screamo. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. I'm really sorry. I have nothing against her. Her music just doesn't feel
Doesn't do
to
it
me.
for you. Okay.
Yeah, nothing against her. I think she's a phenomenal businesswoman on what she is doing. It's incredible. I just don't listen to her music. But I'm a big Post Malone fan. I'm his like top listener, I think, on Spotify Wrapped.
Hey, Rosie, I know, and Claire wants to know you're a country music fan.
If I'm a country music fan,
Yeah. Do you like country music?
I like Morgan Wallen.
Okay. That's
If
country
that-
music. That's that. I
So-
mean, he's as country as you get, and he's one of the best, if not the best out there these days. I was just curious. And what do you think of Post's country move over? Not move over, but his albums. Did you like it? Did you not?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't listen to the album because I'm afraid I'm going to be disappointed.
Got it.
But I do like his song, I Had Some Help, with Morgan Wallen. But I'm just not, I have to be in the right space and mood for country. And for right now, it just seems like Morgan Wallen, I can listen to him more often than other country artists, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, and
Yeah.
it's probably my favorite genre. But it's a real close with classic rock, but I get it. I get it.
I'm also a big rock fan. My favorite rock band is Foo Fighters or Nickelback. So Shinedown, Creed, like I have a broad range of music. So don't even
Yeah,
get me
for
started
sure.
on that.
Awesome.
Hey, can we go back to Europe?
Go ahead, Ned. Go
I
ahead.
had a question about Europe. If we could just go back for a second. What was one of your most memorable matches in Europe? Like what kind of like when you think about playing professionally over there, what was one of your highlights or something that really stood out to you?
I have the perfect match for you. So we were playing Wiesbaden in the Challenge Cup, and we are in the round before the quarterfinals, and we get matched up with Galatasaray, which is a huge club in Turkey. They're not the top team, middle of the pack, I believe. Massive club, massive soccer club. The fans are crazy. And Turkey is just the highest level of volleyball there is anyways. So we go to their place and we are playing lights out. We're up 2-0. We're up in the third and just barely lose. So then they come back and we're in a 5-setter. We win the 5th set. So we get 2 points, which for those that don't understand, overseas, you get points. So if you win 3-0 or 3-1, you get 3 points. If you win 3-2, you get 2 points. And if you lose 2-3, you get 1 point. So that's how they do the ranking system. And then it'll go win-loss and then head-to-head if it needs to come to that. So we get 2 points. They get 1 point. Then they fly to us the next week. And we're at home, sold out arena. Sully, I wish I would have sent you a clip of this.
Yeah.
But there's one wall of all Galatasaray fans, and they're all soccer fans for sure, with huge flags. They're throwing confetti. We had to stop the match and sweep up the confetti. They are jumping and cheering the entire time. And it's just red and gold. And then the rest of the gym is in our blue. But that was the most fun game I've ever played in. We lose in 5. So now we're tied 3-3. And for the Americans that don't know, there is a golden set, and that is 1 game to 15. Winner goes on to the next round, and we win at home. And it was the most unreal feeling. My libero is crying. We're cheering. I turned to the Gala fans and I was like, can't hear you. So it was just so fun.
What a great experience.
Not bad for a just little basketball player out of Boise, Idaho, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, what
Yeah,
a great
it was
story.
So fun. And we ended up going all the way to the semifinals of the Challenge Cup and losing to an Italian team, Novara. But we played really well. We almost beat them. We were up. We won the first set. We were up in the second set. And of course, we get stuck in setter 1. And then we lose 28-26. We're all pissed that we get crushed in set 3. So we did not move on quickly from that loss. And then we're up the whole time in set 4. And then we just lose right at the end. It was like 26-24, 25-23. Something like that. So we almost had them, and then they came to our place, and we were close, but not as close, and ended up losing, and they ended up winning the finals. So we got third, which is a highlight of my career so far. So
That's commendable. What a
Awesome.
great story.
Do you hoop anymore?
no, I don't.
Do you miss it?
I kind of miss it because there's less jumping. I think my knees didn't start hurting until 28, so I'm very thankful for that. But I'd probably have less knee pain if I played basketball.
Yeah, when you're done playing volleyball, whenever that is, you can get back into the gym and go school some of the boys and the girls down at the local gym. It's such a fun game to continue to play.
At least I don't think Coley's knees didn't start hurting until what, you were 10, maybe 9.
Yeah, my knees were hurting from well before high school. It's crazy.
So, always had stuff going on with his knees all year long, for sure.
Never stopped me from playing, though.
No, for sure. Okay, quick as arms swinging around. That's what happened, for sure. Hey, so Jaidyn, can speak for everybody. Super proud of you, kid, and always have been. And just know that we were excited to get you on the podcast. We knew you had a story to tell, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. I mean, I love talking about volleyball, and sometimes I do forget how far I've come, but it's been a journey, and all thanks to you, Sully, for real. Like, you opened up my world to volleyball, and you took a chance on me, so I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I love you, kid. Love you like you're my own. So, and everybody knows that. So,
and you know, your just infectious spirit has been so great on this, and I'm grateful for you to be on the podcast and to show your emotion and to talk about what it means, you know, and like, you know, you can sit here and say to Sully, and I know he would say this, that it was him and he took a chance on you, but you took a chance on yourself and you did it. You did it all. So,
be proud of yourself.
True.
I'm proud of you too. So, congrats, and can't wait to see what's next for you.
Appreciate it so much, guys.
Thanks for sharing your story with these 3 old guys.
Yes. And remember, wherever you go, you got to let them to know you have to set the pipe. When you're in the back row and you're scooping that ball, set the pipe.
Set me the pipe. Yes.